All right, Don, let's have you start first. Everybody, October is right around the corner, and I believe that is it October 15th, Don?
Yeah, October 15th for personal returns and September 15th for S corps or PAs.
Oh, there you go.
PAS.
So, hey, some of you probably still haven't had your taxes filed, and we're getting close to the deadline. Everybody's nervous. If you're looking for somebody to help you out, Don Fallenbaum is a fantastic resource for you. And we'll have Don tell you more about his services now. Don, thank you so much for sponsoring this class.
Kevin said, I'm Don Fallenbaum. I've been a CPA in practice for about 25 years. And about 5 years ago, I decided to specialize in the real estate space, helping realtors, real estate investors, brokerage firms. And I had a few clients as realtors and investors. I just saw a big need for it, and I decided to go full steam into it. And what better place to really get involved is the Miami Association, one of the big associations in the country and probably the world, I believe, for that matter. Right, Kevin? Yeah.
We are second largest in the world, largest in the United States.
Right. So with that, I could help you as realtors, number one, with your own taxes and your own accounting and proactive planning. I also set up business structures. I teach classes on differences between different types of entities, PAs, LLCs, single member, multi-member, reasonable compensation when you set up an S corp, which is very important. And I see a lot of the problem areas that I come across all the time when some of you guys try to do it yourselves with a little bit of planning and knowledge up front. It could alleviate a lot of headaches on the back end, for me and for you, because I'm the one ultimately that will fix it. And some things can be fixed retroactively, some things cannot. So, a short 50-minute call, I offer no charge consultations, make it very easy. On my website, I have an online booking app. You could just go on there, set up a quick appointment. We could chat, and we can go from there to see how I can help you. And like Kevin said, it's hard to believe we're in almost pretty much the end of August, and I do a lot of tax planning, strategic planning for my clients around this time of year, October, November. And like I said, some things we can go retroactive, some things not. So I highly encourage, if you don't have a tax advisor, it's worth 50 minutes of your time to chat and see if I could help you somehow. And if not for this year, because most of the year is over, then start off, fresh and on the right foundation, going into next year. So I highly encourage for that. The topic of this seminar or this webinar is and strategies from a tax standpoint with short-term rentals that I could help with, and there seems to be a big interest in that. And I could definitely help you with that as well as a specific topic. So with that said, I don't want to take up too much time, Kevin. I'll return it to Kevin.
Don, thank you so much. And guys, listen, it might not be you with some tax problems, but we all know somebody who has had tax problems. There's enough crazy stuff in the world. We don't need to worry about taxes.
And I'm also here as a resource for your clients. So if you have any clients that have any tax questions, you can have me on your team to just shoot out, a quick email or whatever. I have this client has this question, could you help him? You put them in touch with me directly, or I could give you the answer. You can get, and that happens all the time. And it makes you look great. It's value added, and I help you with that as well.
It's a really excellent point, Don. As a matter of fact, with people with moving in, part of your move-in package include Don in the emails. And Don, you might even be able to set up a program with them to make sure to incentivize them to make sure that you're included. I'll let you decide that with each and every customer. But hey, Don, thank you so much for your help. And people, don't sweat about taxes. Give it to Don. He's the man. And a fantastic sponsor of Miami YPN. And speaking of fantastic sponsors, Randy Gilbert's in the house. If you are buying a secondary home or something for Air BNB, you're going to have a title service. And Randy is one of the best title companies in all of Florida. And as a matter of fact, his website was voted #1 in what year, Randy? Tell them more about your services, your website, and everything, all the amazing things that you do as a title company.
Thanks so much. So as to the website, in 2018, we were voted the best website in the entire nation. And, you know, I get awards all the time and I throw them out, a big deal. Those are like participation trophies, but this was like a real award from the American Land Title Association. So they actually flew me out to California, and I have all the content is by myself. I write as the real estate expert for Lifestyle Magazine every month. And so we have a whole lot of content on our website, make things. I even have title insurance for dummies. I have interactive closing statements. So if you don't know how to use a closing statement, you just hover over it. It'll show you how to use it, what these things actually are. So if you're ever sitting down at a closing and you know how to explain things to a client, that's a good way to just spend 15 minutes. And after that, you'll fall asleep, but at least you'll know how to do it. So I'm Randy Gilbert, and I am the Chief Happiness Officer of Florida's Title Insurance Company. We are a presidential sponsor, which is the absolute highest level of sponsorship that the Miami Association of Realtors has to do. So one of the things that the Miami Association of Realtors likes is they like war stories. They want us to tell, like, how did we save a deal? Well, one of the things that we do that's definitely different than any other title insurance company is we Photoshop in your client's property and we color coordinate the timelines. And this is like a timeline and deadlines, but on steroids. I have an 88-point checklist where we go through all of your contracts, make sure that there isn't anything that's missing, anything that conflicts. And if there is, then we point those out. We have it color coordinated, whether it's a buyer requirement, a seller requirement. It says whether or not it falls on a Sunday, a Saturday, a Monday. So, and it's very easy to follow. So how did that ever save a transaction or a real estate agent? For instance, our highlighted in red, it shows when the cancellation rights are. So we never have a client, we've had them attempt say, oh, realtor, title company, lawyer, whoever is on it. By the way, we are attorney owned. We didn't know that we had our cancellation rights for under the condo rider. We didn't know we had our cancellation rights under the finance, under the due diligence, under whatever.
I got it taken care of. Go ahead, Randy.
Awesome. So the other thing is like, for instance, in the inspection periods, we point out, look for sexual offenders. Is this property within a sexual offender? Is this property on septic? Is it on sewer? Types of things that you don't want a client coming back saying, oh, you never told me that I need to look at this. For instance, we had a claim that was made that, oh, I didn't know that this property was within the air traffic control rights of the Fort Lauderdale airport. Well, guess what? That was already in our disclosure in the very beginning, as soon as we get the transaction. So these are the types of things that wind up saving everybody, because it's always a he said, she said. Another thing that happened to us actually was yesterday. I had a real estate agent. His name was Realtor Rob. And that's what we call him. And he said, man, dude, I'm getting sued. What are you getting sued for, Rob? He goes, well, he's like, I'm getting sued. The attorney's getting sued because the client, this was a commercial deal. He didn't know, he didn't timely identify a 1031. And according to him, he says, nobody ever told him. Nobody ever told him. I'm like, yeah, you damn right. You should have used us. He goes, yeah, I know. He goes, but the client picked. I said, you should have used this because in our very welcome package, I identified this is non-homesteaded property. You all should, as the seller, you should be talking to, or as the seller, you should be talking to your real estate agent, identify another property. And by the way, read our article on the 411 on 1031s, where it's the most detailed article I've ever created on 1031 exchanges. And so these are the types of things. We get files forwarded over to us all the time where realtors are like, listen, our in-house isn't doing it right. Can you please save our deal? We save deals all the time. We have direct contact with our underwriters' attorneys. So also our office, I'm on the board of directors of a museum. Our office legitimately looks like a museum. Kevin's been here. This place is freaking amazing. It's $1 million penthouse. We've had the same artists that have come and done some walls inside of our office that actually are murals from the same people that have done murals in Wynwood. I mean, this place is amazing. So we will absolutely make you shine. We will have people waiting on you hand and foot. And the best compliment we've ever been given, it was from 2 doctors. It wasn't a small deal, but it was from 2 doctors. It was on a big deal. And they actually said, you know what? You really made us feel like celebrities. And that's the touch, that's the feel that we're going for each and every time for every one of your clients, because whether you like it or not, they identify us with you and you with us. And if they're going to post a review about how they felt about the entire transaction, they're going to remember the last thing that happened. And that's going to be in our office. So hopefully we make you guys look good. And with that, you guys have an amazing class. I'm actually going to try to sit through and listen a little bit.
Very good. And Randy, you also do experiences, right? You do cafe bars, things like that, coffee making.
Yeah, we do. We have an espresso. We have everybody's been trained by a barista on how to do latte art. I joke and say sometimes our hearts look like hearts, sometimes they look like garlic cloves, but we try. Actually, I want to say one more thing. I'm going to be giving a link. I'm teaching a class as well. I teach classes on Friday, excuse me, for the Miami Association of Realtors. This one is the legislative updates for 2022. I go over 36 new statutes that have gone into effect that either affect real estate or you as a Floridian just should know about. And one that we're going to be going over is the post-Champlain condo statute amendments. So what you guys do need to know about, you need to know how those affect condominiums. So I highly recommend that you attend Friday's classes. My classes always get over 100 people, so sign up soon, and I'm going to be putting that link in there.
Yeah, put the link, put your contact information too. I already saw one person said you're hired. So
Yeah.
Miami YPN's class is doing amazing work. And Randy, thank you so much for your time. Please stay as long as you want for this class. And we hope to have you on maybe as an instructor pretty soon ourselves. And with that, we are finally on to the main event. So Joe Biscaha, he's with Compass. I'll let him introduce himself more. Did a 20-minute class for us for our speaker spotlight back in May. The class was so well received. We said, Joe, we want you to do an hour. Can you do it for us? And he was kind enough to do it. And look, the demand is huge. We have 240 people in this class right now. This is one of our most highly attended classes to date. So Joe, thank you so much for your time. Introduce yourself and let's get on with the class. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everybody. Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, 240 and the number keeps going up. Let me share my screen and we'll just jump right into it. Hey, everybody, my name is Joe Biscaha, and I help buyers and sellers build wealth specifically through real estate properties and vacation rentals, Airbnb, all of that stuff. I've only been licensed 3 years, but in my time being licensed down here, I noticed that there was a huge opportunity for Airbnb and providing knowledge around regulations, what properties qualify, how can I do it on my condo, how do I do it not in opposition to the condo rules. So I would love to take everybody through a quick presentation a day. I have maybe 20 minutes of slides to talk through, and then I would love to open it up for Q&A if anybody has questions in the chat. But to kick it off, I'd love to hear from everybody here. So we have 240 participants. Go ahead, hop in the chat. I would love to know, how much do you know about short-term rentals? Are you an expert? Do you know a lot? Drop a number 1 in the chat. If you know some stuff, you've been through it before, maybe drop a number 2. And then if you don't know anything, that's totally okay. That's why you're here. We'll talk about a little bit more nuances when it comes to short-term rentals. So I'll give everybody a second. I see some 2s, couple 1s. Thank you to my experts who are here, who know a lot. I hope that you all can add some value during the Q&A. See some 2s. We know some stuff. Awesome.
Lots of 2s and 3s.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun class. And to the ones out there, the people who know a lot, like really keep me honest. I would love to have you in the chat, back me up on some things, right? So I will keep on going. It looks like we're going to have a really fun class today. Let me go to the next slide. So what we're going to talk about today, think about, you're on Google Maps and you have 2 different types of views. You can zoom all the way in and you can do street view, or you can zoom out and you can kind of see like the whole US, like the whole geography. So think about today, what we're going to talk about. We're going to zoom out on Google Maps. We're not going to go into the intricate details on what condo building allows Airbnb and is it 30 days or 1 day or 6 months. We're not going to talk all about that today. We're really going to talk about the foundation, how we can set our businesses up as realtors. And then also, how do we support our buyers? How do we make sure that they know everything that they need post-purchase? And then I'll share some resources, how you can learn more going forward. So some quick industry statistics, and we already know all of this, or we should know all of this, but we know since COVID, people are not only back into the vacation market, but they're traveling for longer periods of time, right? So instead of that 4 or 5 day trip, they're really booking out their trips for 7, 10, 14 days. And I think something really interesting is that on any given night, according to the iProperty Management Report, over 2 million people are staying in some type of Airbnb, VRBO, like a non-hotel product, which is really fascinating. And we all know our Miami market is home to a lot of these vacation rentals. So like I said, more road trips. People are not only just focused on going to a city, but going to a destination location where they can have an Airbnb in a cabin or a remote location. And then on top of that, they're really expecting hosts to step it up when it comes to cleanliness, making sure that everything is super clean, spotless. Maybe even on the bathroom, they have the sanitized tags so that you have to rip it off when you want to use the bathroom for the first time. Your guests are going to be looking for ways that you've come around COVID and you've improved the cleanliness experience. So I always bring that up, especially to my clients that self-manage. Now, how do we support buyers, right? Well, a lot of the time we get a message or during our consultation calls, we hear from our buyers, I want to buy a property for a short-term rental. I want to buy an Airbnb. I want to make some cash flow, right? And the main reasons why from Biscaha is a short-term rental operator. The four main reasons that they saw in their buyer survey this year is number one, generate income, right? Number two, a lot of millennials and Gen Zs, they're looking ahead and they're looking for ways that they can plan for retirement. And they're seeing that a short-term rental product that can build equity over time is great for them. It's great for them to have that type of investment. And then on the flip side, it's really going to help them prepare for retirement because maybe that property is something they're going to sell in 1031 exchange. And then you'll go to Randy for the 1031. Or, it's the type of product that they want to have and they can rent out when they're away. But then when they come to Miami for Art Basel or Music Week or those events, they can just have a simple vacation. They can go on the app, they can block out the dates that they want to stay in town, and they can just come in and use their property, right? Now, what is key that all of us realtors, if we want to jump in and support buyers in a short-term aspect, again, the Biscaha survey, 58% of buyers, they expect to find information on the agent's website. So if you have a website, you should have clear links that have information about short-term rentals. Maybe you have information on which condos allow it. Maybe you have some checklists or you give them free resources like free guides on stuff that they should think about when they're furnishing their Airbnb. It is so key that you have it on your website because buyers don't want to have to search and go on other tabs and other windows. So if you want to dive in and support buyers, think of ways that you can give them the resources, give them all the information on your website, because in turn, they're going to do a bunch of research and then they're going to work with you at the end because who's given them all this free information? You did. Now, take it a step further. Be ready for questions. They're going to go on your website. They're going to see all this information about short-term rentals. They're going to say, wow, this agent is so knowledgeable on short-term rentals and they have all these free resources and these checklists and these guides. Be ready for questions. These are some questions that I get asked on consultation calls. So my flow is I have everything on my website, joesellsmiami.com. There's going to be a link at the end. You can see how I set up my website. Feel free, copy and paste it, rip it off, right? And then on your consultation calls, be ready. What is a cap rate? What are the tax benefits? Is there any tax implications? I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a CPA, but I do have awesome CPAs that I partner with, and I introduce them, my clients, to those professionals. Also, property management.
CPA too, just so you know, Don's a great CPA.
Don is a CPA. I know Don. We have to plug Don. Don, we'll make a connection after this for sure. It's great to meet you virtually, but making sure like that's not my specialty. I'm not a CPA, but I'm going to partner with Don, right? And I'm going to make sure that they have the best experience with taxes. I'm not going to speak to something that I don't know. Same thing with property management. I am not a professional property manager. That's not my thing. I don't like to do that. So I'm going to partner them with a couple of different companies that I've done my research on and I've built relationships with. There are a ton of property management companies in Miami. Reach out to a couple of them. I believe iTrip is the sponsor on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin.
They had a last minute conflict, but
yeah,
plug them.
Yeah, we'll plug them because that's my job. So again, be ready for questions, start to think about things. And it's okay. Like if you don't know what ROI is, like take Sasha's class to be able to calculate cap rate, right? Don't pretend like you know stuff. I say so many times, I don't know, but let's find out together. Now, you're going to have your clients, they talk to you, they're going to say, okay, what do I need to do to increase my average daily rate? Or what are some things that I should be looking for in a property to have the highest return on my investment? Funny enough, Vacasa did a survey, and number one was the bathrooms. Your guests are going to be looking at your bathrooms. Does it have a tub? Does it have a stand-up shower? Does it have a jacuzzi? Does it have jets? The bathroom and the bedrooms are the number two. It's not just about how many heads can I sleep in this 2-bedroom condo? You know, this condo sleeps 8 or 10 people. It's not about that anymore. It's about the features and the finishes, because there is a huge, I guess, divide right now between the Airbnb community and the hotel community. Some people are saying, you know, why would I stay at an Airbnb when I have to do all this stuff and I have to clean and run the dishwasher and blah, 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 blah. But the Airbnbs that are winning, they're 100% turnkey, ready to go. It feels like you're staying in a hotel. They're nicely renovated. It does take into account the neighborhood. You know, if there's a Whole Foods like in this photo, or if there's neighborhood attractions, like that's definitely a part of your Airbnb experience. No longer is it that you can just get a condo, paint it up, and list it on Airbnb. You're not going to get 5 stars. You really need to be methodical on your Airbnb and go through everything on this list. And that's how you're going to get the highest return possible. All right. Now, when it comes to financing, I have so many buyers who they want a property, but you know, they're relying on financing or they're relying on underwriting. And I think the biggest thing here that we can help our buyers with is just educating them on, I think number one is, you know, what happened in 2008 when I was in middle school. In 2008, I mean, there were so many condos where you could just do a 10% down, right? Or you could, when Icon was new construction, you only needed 10% down for a reservation, and then they would collect the 90% at closing. So when that happened, then the first products to default were people's condo hotels, their second homes, and their vacation homes. So lenders are extremely scrutinizing these types of purchases. So I tell my buyers, think like an underwriter and be prepared with at least 25 to 30% down payment. Single family homes are a little bit easier to finance, but when it comes to a condo, we really have to approach the deal as almost just cash, as a cash deal. Whereas if you don't have cash, it's probably a condo hotel or a condo for short-term rental is probably not the best investment for you. We might have to look into things like harnessing your home equity or doing a HELOC. But at the end of the day, any lender that you go to, you're going to want to show them the money. So think like an underwriter, get your buyers to start thinking like an underwriter, and you should have some success. To this day, and this is my challenge, if there's any lenders like on this call, to this day, I have not been able to successfully close a condo hotel with a lender. Just to put that out there. Like, I have done many deals with condo hotel financing. I have yet to find a lender that will lend on a hotel. And here's the thing, just to give you all like some context, like we go under contract and then the condo hotel will hit you with a right of first refusal. And then you do a title search or a lien search. And then you find out, you know, Randy tells you, hey, Joe, you can't do a loan on Mondrian Condo Hotel because they're in active litigation. And then the lender shuts down the deal, but your buyer already paid for the inspection, you know, title search, all of that stuff. So when you get buyers who are looking at condo hotels, I don't even take them out unless they can show me cash or they're okay with writing a cash contract. Really big. I've spent a lot of time wasted on buyers. I hope everybody on this call can learn from my past mistakes. Condo hotels are not fun to finance. And Marina, please introduce me to that lender. I would love to speak to them. I've spoken to about 5 in the last 6 months, and nobody can do a condo hotel. So if anybody can, that'd be amazing. All right. Yeah, everybody has a guy, right? But I don't know. Never mind. We're not going to go into the weeds. What buyers will need post-purchase. So it's awesome that your buyers are super excited for a condo and they want to Airbnb it, and they're going to have their own place that they can rent out, you know, for Christmas, and then they can fly back to New York or Chicago during the summer. There's so much more than they need, and we know this. So during consultations, I like to bring up What type of furniture are you going to do? Are you going to do a furniture rental company? Are you going to pick everything out? Are you going to hire a designer, a stager? Do we need to switch out the appliances? Do we need to get a new stainless steel package? What are we going to do for supplies? Are we going to buy our supplies in bulk and then keep them in a lockout room in the condo? Or will the cleaners have it? So all these little things to think about. And then how could you take it a step further? What type of activity? Are you going to provide beach chairs, umbrellas, kayaks? Anything that you can do from an activity standpoint is just going to increase your 5-star reviews and increase how much you can command every night. And property management. So again, you'll get a first-time investor buyer. They're so excited. You just help them close, or you just help them go under contract on their property. Now it's time to start thinking about property management, because it's not just listing it up on Airbnb and responding to people's messages. You have to think about the full experience, and that includes guest screening. Are you asking them why they're visiting? How many people are going to be staying in the property? Do you have somebody on call for maintenance? Do you have a cleaner that's reliable? Who's going to be checking the supplies? Who's going to be refilling the shampoo bottles? How are you going to do the key exchange, the check-in, the check-out? What are you going to do to make sure that the property is safe and you're complying with all laws, that you don't have hidden cameras in the property? How are you going to make sure that you let your guests know that if you do have cameras, that there is audio and video recording? And then also, how are you going to manage the payment processing? And then take it a step forward, is how are you going to pay the taxes back? Or how are you going to pay the taxes back to the city of Miami or Miami Beach? So there's so much more to property management than just an Airbnb app, accepting somebody's reservation and then sending them instructions. And I like to break it down in 3 different categories, because some people, they only have one property and they fall into that self-managed category and they love it, right? They love having this hotel business that they run. They have a cleaner, they know how to price the property, they're going to handle everything themselves. But then once you add maybe an additional property or 2, or maybe that buyer has a full-time job, they might choose something like a la carte, where maybe they will respond to people in the Airbnb app, but then everything else will be managed through another third party, and they have some systems. One thing with that is that if you fall into this category, you're going to still really have to be on, or your buyer will still really have to be on these people, because it's not going to be a seamless transaction, right? Like your property manager has to talk to the cleaner, and the cleaner has to talk to the contractor. It's not all in one place. So where most buyers fall is they fall into a hands-off full service company like a Biscaha, or I think iTrips is our sponsor. And that really allows you to be completely hands-off. They manage the property for you 24/7. You're not answering guest calls. You're not answering if they get locked out. They're going to take photos. They're going to price it properly for you. And they usually have a dedicated team. A lot of these full service companies, they either manage a couple units in a condo, or they manage properties nearby in a neighborhood. And all you have to do is collect your check every single month. So that was just, again, that bird's eye view of short-term rentals. Some recommendations that I have, if you are interested in catering to these types of buyers, or if you're interested in becoming an expert, maybe going from a number 3 to a 2, or a 2 to a 1, what I recommend starting with is talking to a vacation property manager. They would love to talk to you. They want to take you out to coffee. They want to buy you drinks. They want to partner with you. Talk to a couple of them and ask them about what is their experience working in Miami, what properties do they manage. And the best part about it is that they have access to all this data. They have access to pro formas of their current properties and how they're managing them and what their ROIs are. So they can give you income statements, and they can also run estimates on a potential performance for a short-term property. Some online websites that I have recommended are Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is a great blog and also resource that gives you information about short-term rentals as well as long-term investment renting, BRRRR method, buy, rent, rehab, refinance, all of that stuff. And then just, be hungry for the information. Go on YouTube. You can also go on the Airbnb.com website and go to the resources. So with that said, you can scan this little QR code, you can grab these slides, And I just want to say thank you all for hopping on and letting me go through my spiel. So I've done a lot of talking. I would love to flip it over to everybody here if there's a question in the chat. If you'd like to unmute yourself, whatever we can do. I'd love to really just open it up to Q&A.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, my name's Riley. So I was just wondering if you had the same experience as me. So, let's say I'm representing a buyer, they're looking for a short-term rental. I send them some options, they pick a couple, then I will ask the listing agent either what their current cap rate is or, what the financials are for the past 6 months to a year. And it's almost impossible to get that information. That's my experience with Airbnbs. And then that means I'm not able to service my client. And then they're not able to, have their goal of purchasing a short-term rental. So that's my experience. I don't know if that's what you go through. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of put that out there and see if anybody kind of went through the same thing.
Yeah, definitely, Riley. Thanks so much. About, getting performas and getting comps, right? Like our job as realtors is to run comps all day, right? So it's super frustrating when, we find this property and we're trying to make it make sense for our buyer. We know it's a great property. We know it's going to rent, but they need that data and they need those comparables, right? I think that partnering, if you can, let's say, for example, the unit is in a condo building, I would try to do some research on seeing who manages the building from a third party standpoint, if Biscaha is there, or if there's Miami Vacation Rentals, if there's a professional manager. Try to reach out to them first, right? But if not, again, I know that agents don't do a great job of providing data because they don't want to promise anything. So another resource that I use with my clients is Air DNA. And I give the blank disclosure. I'm like, Air DNA is something that is going to scrape the calendar for Airbnb. So it's going to look at all properties going back 5 years, and it's going to give you a sense of data. But I tell my clients, don't use it as an inducement for purchase, right? Air DNA, it could be off, but it's going to give you a good idea of the data. Taking it a step further, one resource that I like to give is the Miami-Dade, the Greater Miami-Dade Visitor Bureau. If you go on their website, they have a report for the hotel occupancy rates. So you can see in every single neighborhood of Miami, the hotel occupancy rates. I think that that's a great resource to share with clients so that they can kind of pull comps. But then also the other piece on that is what if it's a new construction building and, we don't really know how to comp it, right? So Nativo, for example, when Nativo, was launched as new construction, nobody really knew how to comp Nativo. There was no hotel or short-term product in downtown. So we leaned on a building like the East Hotel because that's kind of the similar vibe that we believe downtown is going to be. Again, it's not perfect. It's not 100%, but to try to give your client resources, I would say, number one, reach out to a professional property manager or somebody who is managing the unit. Maybe the listing agent knows that the unit is being managed right now and can put you in touch. Second thing, I would say airdna.co. That's another resource. And then the third thing is if you don't have any comps, AirDNA isn't working, try to find a hotel in the neighborhood or a hotel nearby that's similar in the features. So it might not work on every property, but those are three resources how I would try to comp a property when the listing agent isn't giving me a performa.
Okay, thank you. That was super, super helpful. Really quick question. In terms of comps, I mean, you can really only see comparables on the MLS 6 months to a year. So do you mean looking on the Airbnb app or? Okay, got it.
Yeah, I would say go on the Airbnb app. You can see what listings are available. But when you go on airdna.co, also it's free for your first couple addresses. After you put in an address 3 times, then it asks you to sign up. But you'll be able to plug in an address and it pulls the calendars of all nearby listings that are on VRBO and Airbnb. So that should help you out.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Joe.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Fred. Fred, your hand is raised. You have a question for Joe?
I do. Besides Airbnb, if you have luxury rentals, what other sites do you look at for clients? I mean, my question is twofold. Do you mainly represent your buyers and then it's a handoff to a management company? Or do you ever get more involved with, you know, maybe a high end or any of the properties to help them rent those properties and work with them in the management side of it?
Yeah. Hey, Fred. What I personally, I don't manage anything under 30 days. Anything under a 30-day rental, it's not my specialty. There isn't enough skin in the game for me to make it worth my while. And it just takes up too much of my time personally. So that's not my focus, and I'm not a specialist in daily rentals. So I would refer those out to a daily rental company. Same thing with luxury rentals. One thing I wanted to say is on a luxury rental, yeah, Airbnb is great, VRBO is great, but if you're a luxury property, and I mean that you're charging, you know, $300, $400 plus a night, you should definitely have your own website. You should have your own website. You know, pay somebody online to build a landing page for you. Make sure that it's SEO, and don't just rely on Airbnb, because Airbnb made a lot of changes over this summer. So, for example, one of the big changes that they made was that you can no longer change your listing title. So what people would do is when a concert was coming into town, they'd change the title and they would put near American Airlines Arena or near FTX Arena. That's no longer an option on Airbnb. So don't just rely on Airbnb to get your bookings. Also have a landing page or a one page to do direct bookings. And that way you can also retarget those guests. You can send them emails throughout the year for them to come back and book direct with you. And then that way you get around the Airbnb service fee.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Fred.
Appreciate it.
Jill, you're up next. Jill Betty.
Beatty, hi. Two questions. One is, if I don't have a compatibles, what is the good estimation for vacation rate for, we're talking about downtown Brickell, this area. Could you help me with that?
Yeah, it's downtown and downtown area is really unique because right now there really isn't many Airbnb properties in downtown. They're being built right now, but there's not a lot that are there for daily rentals. A lot of them are 30-day rentals. So what I would say is, if you can, you know, like if it's, let's say Miami World Center type of property, I try to see something comparable that you could comp it out with. And then if that doesn't work, use Air DNA to try to get an estimate, and use the report from the Greater Miami Tourism Bureau to see the hotel occupancy rates, because they'll tell you in downtown, you know, it's 70%. In Brickell, it's 60%. They'll be able to advise you that way. But you know, it is difficult right now to comp out those types of properties. But I can tell you, it's going to be easier. You know, as Society Biscayne, now the Elser, once that opens and once Nativo opens and these other short-term properties open, we'll have more data to be able to come up with comps.
Okay, thank you. I do use the AirDNA, and then I know there's tons of listings over there. You know, like those condos, majority of the condos don't allow the Airbnb, but they are there doing it.
Right.
So it's use those occupancy rates, you know, it's really, really hard. Then of course, I don't want to get myself in trouble. I work with those buildings like Icon Brickell on the third tower. And then I'm just using the information for AirDNA from that, the names of the location of Icon. I was just trying to, you know, if I do have to do something quick on this area, seems like you're familiar with this area. What is the vacation rate? Because you agree with me, right? Like the AirDNA website, those occupancy, it's low, they're not doing the full,
right.
Because it's hard to do it. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
No, I would say the occupancy rate in downtown and Brickell, like pre-pandemic, has been in the 60s to the 70s. You can look at the data, and now we're in like the 70s to 80s. Some nights, depending on peak time, we'll push in the 90s. But I think a really safe number, like a super conservative number that no one's going to be upset about, is 65 to 70%. I think we can all agree that's a really stable number on even looking at the data. Another thing I want to mention, also have an exit strategy. So don't just forget, you know, maybe this property in the future can turn into a long-term rental. I've had a buyer who bought a house in the roads right outside Brickell, was going to do Airbnb, and then got host fatigue, where they were so tired of responding to the guests, hiring the cleaners, booking the handy person to come in and clean out, that they said, Joe, rent this out for me on a long-term lease. So I think also, yes, we can give them the daily rates, which is awesome. Take it a step further and you'll be able to like wow your client and say, wow, like what a great advisor. They're thinking of me for my long-term investing in the future.
Yeah, I actually do that. That's a great one.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Alexa, Rosario, you're up next. What do you got for Joe?
Hey, Joe, awesome presentation. So my question for you is, how do you keep up with, or what would you say in terms of like trying to, because I know that some cities are going through their changes and trying to figure out like making sure that you stay compliant with the city. Like, what do I need to know on that side of it?
Yeah, so staying compliant, I would say definitely have an attorney in your back pocket. I have an attorney in my back pocket who helps just, you know, if anything was ever to come up or, you know, just to keep us safe, right? But then some things that I do to stay up to date, set up a Google News alert, Airbnb Miami Beach. And anytime there's an article or the Miami Herald writes about it, you'll get an email from Google that says news alert. Also some things to do to, you know, just stay up to date, make sure that you're signed up on the local municipality. So I'm on the mailing list, you know, City of Miami Beach, City of Miami, make sure that you're, you know, keeping up to date on those sites. And then it all goes back to the property manager. The property managers are truly like your partner in making the deal happen. They know the regulations, they know the zoning, you know, they know if it's going to happen or not. You know, you can talk to them and say, hey, I have a house in this unincorporated area of Miami. My property manager already knows yes or no, you know, just off one phone call. So again, really build the relationships with the property manager, but then there are resources online for us to stay up to date.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Beatriz Naranjo, you're up next. What you got for Joe?
Hi guys, it's an awesome presentation. I'm a newbie in this business. I used to do more like single homes, but I'm having a lot of foreign investors now, and they may be with a limited budget, and I'm checking the prices in downtown new construction, and I'm scared because I cannot find anything for them. Where can I start from? I don't even know where I can start to look.
Yeah, and I want to tell a story real quick because that happens all the time. You know, we've seen our prices definitely appreciate over the last 2 years, which is amazing. But there is limited inventory because already the condo buildings don't like Airbnb, and you know, there's only a handful, maybe 5 that I can count that are current existing condos that allow some sort of daily rental. And then all of the new construction is going to allow Airbnb, but it's a barrier to entry for people to get in. So I work with buyers in limited budgets. I have a referral partner in other parts of Florida. So in Orlando, in Tampa, in Jacksonville, I have partners in areas that have a easier price point or easier entry of price point that also have a market for daily rentals. And the reason that I bring this up is because I had a client who was looking in Miami for something he could get into immediate. He said, I want an existing, I don't want new construction. And, you know, I was sending him stuff and, you know, he's planning on coming down. And the day before he was supposed to come down, I had all the tours set up. He said, you know, I hate to do this. And I hate how real estate is like this, but we just went under contract in Orlando. And at that time, I didn't have a referral partner in Orlando. So what I would say is from the very beginning, when you take the call with your client, just set expectations on the market. You know, we should be doing this already. We should be looking at Sunstats. We should be looking at the Miami Realtors Association real-time stats. And we should be giving them the expectation of what it's going to take to enter a short-term rental property in Miami. And if that isn't feasible in a budget, that's totally okay, because I have partners in Orlando and Tampa who would love to talk to you, and maybe it might be a better entry point to get into one of those markets. And you'll
Okay.
make a referral fee on top of that, right?
That's good. That's good. Great advice. But if they want, you know, they want Miami, they want Fort Lauderdale, they want West Palm Beach because they have friends in the area. They're probably semi-retiring as well, and you know, and they're very focused on this area. And I said, I don't even know how to make it happen. Where can I find this type of properties? Do you have any way to find them?
So when we search on the MLS, you're going to want to click add, and then the field that you're going to want to add is minimum days lease, or MIN.
Okay.
It's usually abbreviated minimum days lease. And you can do, like, you can just enter 0, you can enter 1. I like to enter 0 to 30. That way it opens it up, because some agents, you know, we might not enter our listing correctly. So put 0 to 30, it opens it up, and that gives you the list on MLS. But then, you know, Beatrice, as you get more familiar with these condos, you're going to be able to recall and say, I know this condo in Midtown, Mid-Block, Club at Brickell Bay. Like, you're going to start to pick these up and have them in your back pocket.
Thank you so much.
Can I add something for Beatrice?
Please.
So the way I do from the MLS on the broker's remark, you can put asterisk, and then you put the word short term, and the asterisk, no restriction, and close the asterisk, and then you're going to get a lot of stuff, and then you have to sort it out from that as well, besides the minimum day lease. You got it?
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, thank
That's a
you
great
so
set.
much. Great, thank you.
Yeah, and then you just put like many, like, because of no broker's remark, we mentions like 30 days minimum, daily rent, no welcome, you know, and then you're gonna get all them together, but then you have to go through it. And then you learn about the buildings as well. I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, can I'm on, I don't know if I interrupted the order.
Just take it, you have the mic now.
Okay. All right, so just go back to the, maybe everybody wants to know in case they bump into this. On the building icon Brickell Third Tower, they have the W Hotel component over there. If my clients buy something there, how they can what is the benefit from, you know, being on a W Hotel? If they're gonna use anything about it, like, you know, like how that benefit my clients buying on that tower? Because
buying
they
in
have
the W.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, let me just generalize it. A lot of people like a condo hotel because of the condo amenities, right? You know, you buy or what were you?
The W Hotel are in there. Okay.
Yeah, no, people like the W because of the amenities, to be honest. They like the towel service. They like going down to the pool, showing the card and having somebody to be able to lay out the towels, take their drink order. They like to be able to use the spa, all the amenities. I think that's really why people choose it. Now, are you also talking about the hotel program, like with the W?
Yeah, if they have an option to turn it to them, or if they're going to benefit anything for the W Hotel being there. They're going to, you know, the standard, like the luxury standard from the W Hotel, or there is nothing to do. There is no hotel. Want to answer me any? There is no hotel program at W Hotel. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about other buildings. So my investors, when we get down to the numbers, or when we look at a hotel program, which means that it's the unit is run through the hotel, like the Hilton manages, or the W, whatever manages that unit. They charge like 50% of the gross bookings. Like they charge so much money as opposed to a self-manager or somebody else. But the benefit is that, I mean, it's just hands off. So some people like that. Some people like just being able to reserve their hotel room when they want, and then, you know, have the Hilton deal with it, and they don't have to work with a third party. If that answers your question.
Got it. Thank you.
Marina Elliott, you're up next. What do you got for Joe?
Thank you. Hi, Joe. Well, actually, I think it was Beatrice that asked about where to find the short-term zoning, right? So that clarified, and thank you so much, Beatrice, no, whoever was just speaking, that clarified about the term. Thank you. And then I have a condo hotel listing that the reason, just so you know, the first person that asked the question about the listing agent not having the information, the owner doesn't have the information. So you are hunting after property manager, and then it's difficult to get that information. I finally did. It just like you said, Joe, it only makes sense, to be honest with you, if the person's going to manage them on themselves.
Yes.
Or get up, so I was hoping that you'd have any ideas on, or maybe we can connect, offline.
Yeah, I mean, when people, they're like, oh, wow, it's really not making that much money. If somebody's operating a hotel business, right, and it's making money, why would they be incentivized to sell? I mean, like that.
His wife passed, and it was his wife's dream place, so he doesn't want to do it ever again.
Got it. Okay,
he used it as a vacation home, and then when he's not there, he's like, doing that. So
you have to self-manage. You really have to self-manage, or have a hotel program that offers a great rate, or else, when it really comes down to it, you're not making any money. And I've done YouTube videos on it. You can go to my channel. Like, I am a big preacher that you will not become a millionaire through a condo hotel, hands down. Like, even if you're trying to finance, if you pay cash, you pay cash, maybe you could work some stuff. But if you're financing and you have to pay the monthly hotel, the monthly maintenance fee, and you have a manager on top of that, you're probably breaking even or making like $50 a month. And that's just like hard realities that I have with my buyers, because they think that they're going to buy a condo and put 5% down and it's going to be magical. And it's just a hotel that they run on their own, but there is so much more involved with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Randy is next in line. Randy, what you got for Joe?
I wanted to see if Joe does any types of mentorship, tutoring, anything I could follow you around, kind of like shadow you. I'd be very interested in that. I'm new. I don't know if you saw it in the chat. I got my license like 3 weeks ago, and I actually have a big bucket of clients, right? Because prior to this, I was doing credit repair. So long story short, a lot of clients, when they do credit repair, they do it for the purpose of buying a house or buying a rental. I got a lot of people like that. So long story short, would love to know if that's something that you offer.
Yeah, I would love to connect with anybody who wants to dive into this a little bit further. This is such a popular topic. I know we'll probably do another one of these, but Randy, definitely connect on Instagram at Joe Sells Miami. You can go and visit me online, joesellsmiami.com. On my website, I have a list of Airbnb condos that allow 6 months or less. And I also have a new construction list, so you guys can all look and see what new construction properties are here. And how did I build my website, or how did I gather all this data? Through the resources that Miami Realtors provides. Miami Realtors and the YPN network, there's so much out there. It can feel like drinking from a fire hose, but the data is out there. Miami Sun Stats, the Miami Real-Time Dashboard, it's out there. The new construction, everybody can add that new construction widget to your website. That's free. Like, the association just added that last year. So if you go to my website, that's not me. That's the association. It's like a plugin. And I'll put my website in the chat. Thanks. I know we're going over, but thanks so much for having me as a speaker. I really appreciate it, Kevin, and everybody at the board.
More questions if you got.
Okay, time. I'll take it. I have time.
Very good. Okay. Elizabeth, so I'm just going to say Elizabeth. I'm not going to butcher your last name. You're up next.
Okay, Sawiki, that's fine. Don't worry. Okay. Hi. The question I have is, I have a client looking at the multifamily that could be used as an Airbnb or regular rentals.
Yeah.
How much higher would the loan be if the multifamily runs as an Airbnb? The interest on the loan.
No. Definitely talk to a local lender, because there are going to be different down payment for when you're using the property and you're declaring it as a second or an investment property, you're going to have, you know, the 20% down or the 30% down. And that's just on, you know, a residential unit 1 to 4. Again, I'm not like a financing specialist either. So I like to I like to lean on my lenders when it comes to financing those types of properties. But they're great. I mean, multifamily for Airbnb, amazing. You add in a pool in the backyard, you increase the daily rate. Awesome.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Elizabeth, I do that all the time. I'm specialized in multifamilies, and I help my investors to buy multifamilies with financing. And there are several programs. One of them go based on long-term rentals, but also there are programs that consider Airbnb rentals as the appraisal or evaluation of the property to be approved for the loan. If you want to text me your number, I can share the lender information with you.
Oh, that will be great. I will send my cellular number on the chat so you can see it.
I love this.
Sure.
And then I have a comment regarding, because I was looking at condos for Airbnb, and the issue is whether the association approves of mainly daily rentals. Also, you have to consider the cost of the maintenance fees that are going up all the time. So if the buyer can look at single family homes, involve more work, but I think they are a better option. And also, I was looking at single family homes with the idea for them to become Airbnb operations. But I was wondering, how could if I buy a home that is already an Airbnb operation, how do I know what is the rating on the property? Because once, let's say I buy something and the property has a 2-star rating, people in general don't know that there is a change in ownership. How do you change that?
So when you acquire an Airbnb property, you actually should create a brand new listing, because it won't transfer from user to user. You're going to want to create a brand new listing. And when you create a brand new listing, Airbnb will cover the cost of professional photography only once on a brand new listing. So I advise all my clients, if they're taking over a listing and they already have guests booked, then maybe they can transfer, or they can give them the login for that old host's account. But whenever you get a new property, you're acquiring an Airbnb property, create a new listing.
Okay, thank you. But there are, I was looking at in Broward County, Hollywood, Hallandale, and you have to get a license. So when you are buying something that is already an Airbnb, you are buying the license also. But that doesn't mean then that I have to use the same listing. I can have a new listing with the old license. That's what you're saying.
You should be able to.
Okay.
I'll let the attorneys on the call keep me honest about transferring licenses and all of that stuff. But I advise to create a brand new listing, because you want fresh reviews. Maybe that old listing had other stuff that it no longer applies to the property, or maybe you do some enhancements as well to the property. So just start fresh and take advantage of the free photography.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I love the collaboration, Elizabeth and Catherine and everybody else. This is very, very cool to see.
Diana Flores, you got a question? I know you couldn't figure out how to raise your hand, but I see you in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I have 2 questions. The first one is how the for the taxes, because it's the common question about the short term, how we can find information about for the city, and the taxes are going to be paid for the tenant. This is the first question.
Okay, so if you have a short-term rental property and you list it on Airbnb, Airbnb will automatically collect the taxes and remit them to the city and the county on your behalf. You can find these resources on airbnb.com/resources. And when you select the city, Airbnb will tell you the breakdown on how much percent that they charge to the guests on your behalf, and they will remit it. Now, if you are, as us realtors, if we're doing a lease 6 months or less, remember, we're going to want to charge the occupancy tax for short-term rentals. I believe, and again, talk to your attorneys. I don't want to put out the wrong number, but I think it's like 19% or something like that, that you are supposed to, again, I'm going to just stop talking. Talk to your CPA.
Okay, thank you. The next question is about you mentioned that you have free service from the Miami board for your webpage, and there is any tool that can help the landlord or us to get the breakdown with the return on investment? Any free tool to calculate?
I lean on airdna.co. That is an all-in-one. It lets you look up comparables, and you can also use the calculator. You can plug in the purchase price, the taxes, the maintenance, and it will give you the cap rate and it will give you the ROI.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, somebody asked, does AirDNA, do they also give you the confirmation if the property is zoned for Airbnb?
I haven't seen that option. No, I have not.
Where do you go for that info?
For that info, it's a loaded question. So you have to think of a funnel. I have a YouTube video on this, but we start with the state level. So the state of Florida, we all know, approves Airbnb. So from the state, then we have to move down to the county. So then I'm going to Google Palm Beach County Airbnb, Broward County Airbnb, Miami-Dade County Airbnb. And then I'm going to look at the county level. And then from the county level, then I'm going to zoom into the city. So then I'm going to search Miami Beach Airbnb regulations, City of Doral Airbnb regulation, so then I'm going to go to the city level. And then from there, once I find that, okay, the city allows, the state, the county, and the city allows Airbnb, then let me dive deeper onto the actual condo buildings that allow it. But usually from those searches, I'll be able to identify which areas allow Airbnb. If you go on Google and you type in Miami Beach Airbnb map, Miami Beach actually has a map of what areas that you're allowed to do Airbnb and which ones are restricted.
Kevin, what I did, just to clarify with someone, I just called the zoning department for the city and they were able to tell me once I had the actual address.
So you got two different ways. That's fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. A few more questions, Joe. I promise we'll let you go soon. Okay. Somebody wanted to know what the costs of management were for Airbnbs.
I've seen anything from 15 to 30%. It depends on how hands-on your manager is going to be. Again, with the hotel programs, they usually charge more money. I've seen hotel programs in the 40s and the 50s%.
Very good. If you have a pool on property, do you have to gate it for security?
Oh, of course. I think that's I don't know. Again, I'm speaking outside my specialty. I don't know if that's like a Florida law, but yes, I think every single pool has to have some type of gate or fence or protection. I think that's a law.
Very good. This is open to the audience. There's a few people that are asking for the lender information that does Airbnb. Does somebody who offered that up, do they want to hop on and provide that info right now?
Si no sirve, lo llevo de vuelta. A ver.
Anybody have that info? I guess they're gone.
I do.
Okay. Oh, you do?
I'm typing the chat right now. I'm typing the chat right now.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Let me see. There's one or two more questions, I believe. Management fees. Oh, Julieta Villafuerte, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. I want to know how can I find zip codes in Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach that allow rentals Airbnb to buy duplex, triplex, or houses.
Julieta, you have to look at it's not necessarily by zip, but go by the city or by the county. And as Mariana said, you know, if you find a property that you think is in an Airbnb, call the zoning department, give them the address or give them the folio number, and they should be able to look up and see if it's allowed or not.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think this is just a yes or no answer, and I believe the answer is no, but I want you to clarify, Joe. In Airbnb, do we actually do leases?
Like writing a lease and filling out the lease? No, because everything is done through the app.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But if you have a listing on MLS that you're listing for short term, then yes, you would write the lease and do all of that stuff.
Very good. Okay, the next question is, do you use services other than Airbnb, such as corporate leases for traveling nurses or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I have an investor right now who actually is buying the property for nurses because he sees that nurses who are travel nursing on a contract, they have their housing paid for them by the travel company. They're like no maintenance. It's so hands off. They're super quiet. They don't tear up the property. It's stable income because they know that they're going to get them for 2 or 3 months, depending on the length of the contract. So yes, I think if you can do travel nursing, or you can even look at business travel, like especially in Brickell, everybody says they want a daily rental property, but I think that there's money to be made in 30-day rentals for business travelers. If you can market yourself as having a desk in the room and high-speed Wi-Fi and business essentials, you're going to cater to those C-level executives who need to spend, you know, a month in Brickell or who are traveling for work. So I think travel nursing and the non-traditional just vacation rental are definitely markets that you can tap into.
Excellent. This is for everybody. Yes, this will be recorded. We will send you a copy of this. Does anybody else have a question for, oh, here's one. How much commission should you collect as a listing agent for a short-term rental? Usually it's a half month or 5% for a long-term rental. So I'm curious if there's a standard rate for short-term rental listings.
Yeah, well, we all know that commission is not standard. Commission is not fixed. We believe in a free market. So there's no such thing as a fixed or a standard rate. What I've seen in the past is I've seen on a traditional 1-year long-term lease, I've seen a month a compensation that's split between both brokers. And then on anything under a full year lease in the past, I've seen brokers offering a 10% offer of compensation split between both brokers. So each side would make 5%.
Very good. Does anybody else have any more questions for Joe? Joe, you did an excellent job, man. You're a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for your time, your excellence and expertise. And hopefully we can do another class with you again soon.
Thank you all. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
And with that, everybody, go out there, find those short-term rentals, share this piece of paradise with the world, and we can't wait to see what you do with Joe's information. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Go out there and be great. We'll see you at the next class.
Just it remains.